Okay, this one says solve the equation for x. The reason that I know that this is an equation is because this mess that they gave me has an equal sign in it. There are a lot of math problems, and the only time you can solve it is when it is given to you with an equal sign in it. Otherwise, if there's no equal sign, you're not really solving it, you're just kind of simplifying it or plugging and chugging some numbers in it. But this is actually solving the equation to figure out what x is equal to. Now, no matter what the equation looks like, and no matter how many steps you have in between here, you know, doing a whole bunch of work, the very last step should always end with the variable on one side, the equal sign in the middle, and then whatever number you solve it for. Now, most people like the x to be on the left because they like it to say like x is equal to 3, or x is equal to -8, or x, God forbid, equals 2/3. Ooh, fractions. But if it's written 3 is equal to x, or -8 is equal to x, or 2/3 is equal to x, it's the same answer, okay? It doesn't matter which side the variable is on, and it doesn't matter which side the number value is on, as long as it's on one of the other sides, okay? And it's always going to end that way. X is equal to something. Now, looking at the mess they gave me, if there had been parentheses in here, I would have distributed to get rid of my parentheses. If I could simplify the left side or the right side by combining like terms, I'd do that too. But I don't have any of that here. All I have is on the left side a 10x plus 3, and on the right side a 4x minus 16. Now remember, you want to have just x on one side and just a number on the other. Right now, I've got a 10x on the left and a 4x on the right. One of those two terms has got to go. You can get rid of either one, but since, like I said earlier, most people like their x's on the left, I'm going to get rid of the x on the right. And since it is a 4x, I am simply just going to subtract 4x from it, because 4x minus 4x is 0, and then you'll still have this minus 16, and then 0 minus 16 leaves me with a -16 on the right side of the equal sign. But this is an equation, which means it's balanced. If the left side equals the right side, imagine, if you will, you have a scale or a seesaw, and you've got some weight on one side and some weight on the other. If they're the exact same weight, it's balanced, okay? But if I were to add weight on this side, now this thing is going to tip like this, okay? Because I just piled a bunch more weight on here. And now it's not in balance anymore. If you want to bring it back into balance, then whatever you did to one side, you have to do to the other to keep it balanced. And it doesn't matter, I can add things to both sides, or I could subtract things, which is what I did here. I actually subtracted 4x off of the right side. I took weight, I removed weight from this side, which would still, you know, my picture show it tipping in that direction. So whatever you do to one side, you have to do the other side to keep it in balance. And 10x's take away 4x's would leave me with 6x's. And then you'd still have this plus 3. So at this point, I now have 6x plus 3 is equal to -16. So I have my x term on the left side, but he's not alone. Remember, your last step should say x equals to some number. Right now, we have 6x plus 3 equals some number. I just want the x. So I have to systematically get rid of the 3 and the 6. And technically you could get rid of them in either order, but it is much easier to get rid of the 6, the number that is multiplied onto the x, get rid of him last. So I'm going to get rid of this addition of 3 by subtracting a 3. And what you do to one side, you got to do to the other. That just cancels out. It's gone. It's just 0. And 6x plus 0 is 6x. Then over here, what I have is negative 16 minus 3 more. That's going to be a negative 19. If you're already into negative land and you're going to take away some more, you're just getting that much more into debt. It's like you owing somebody $16 and somebody else is trying to take another 3 from you. I'm back in further debt. I'm into negative 19. And then my last step would be, since it's 6 times x right here, I would divide by 6, because 6 divided by 6 is 1 times x, and 1 times x is just x. But what you do to one side, you got to do to the other. Now, 6 does not divide into negative 19 evenly, so I'm just going to leave it as negative 19/6. If you can reduce it, you should, but the only numbers that go into 6 are 2, 3, and 6, none of which go into 19. So I'm just going to leave it as negative 19/6. You could change it to a mixed number because 6 goes into 19 3 whole times. 6 times 3 is 18, and then there's 1 left over because 19 minus 18 is 1. So you probably could type it in that way as well. But it's been my experience that most algebra books leave answers as improper fractions. And just to prove it to you, I'm going to go back into Mobius and type in negative 9, whoops, forgot my negative sign, negative 19/6. And how did I do? Ta-da! There you go. And you can even see in their explanation that they too left it as an improper fraction. So that's solving equations.